Force Court. About to testify on behalf of the defendant is his father, Big Duke O'Connor.
I do.
Now sit that chair.
Mr. O'Connor, did you ever attempt to seduce your daughter-in-law?
No. She tried to get in my pants, telling me she was fed up with Junior and wanted to try the giant size. I mean, I took off because I was sick about being around temptation with my own son's wife.
Did Mrs. O'Connor ever succeed in seducing you?
No. I don't know if she's told you. But there was one night when she leaped on me like a polecat. I bat her off and tried to set her straight. But arguing with that gal's a waste of oxygen.
Did you tell your son about this incident?
I went to him at the hospital and tried to tell him what was up with her. But I just couldn't say it plain enough. He just wouldn't believe me. She was still fooling him. I mean, she tried to kill him over that fool advertising money.
Objection, Your Honor. That's speculation.
All right, I agree, and I'll strike that portion of the answer. Go ahead, Mr. Morgan.
Do you have any knowledge of the cause of Little Duke's accident?
Yeah. While I was bawling Becky out, she told me in her trailer how she put Duke in the hospital and was glad of it. She's got the worst temper I ever seen. I've never run away from women before, but I was fed up with those two when I heard about the trial. But I'm glad that my son's getting away from her while he's still together and glued together in one piece.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Cross-examination.
Mr. O'Connor, isn't it true that you arrived at Becky's trailer in a highly inebriated state and proceeded to force yourself sexually on your daughter-in-law?
So that's the way the tramp tells it, huh? That's a damn lie.
Really, Mr. O'Connor? Well, hadn't you come to her trailer to discuss problems she was having in her marriage with Little Duke?
Oh, yeah. I went over there to try to straighten those two out. But I never touched that woman. She made some motions to me, that's all.
And didn't you discuss your concern about your son spending so much time with his friend Skipper Williams?
Well, maybe. So what?
Well, were you aware of the rumors surrounding Skipper Williams at that time?
Yeah, I'd heard how he was queer. But I've never paid no mind to that sneaking and spying. Sneaking and spying make me puke.
Is that so? Well, is that why you asked Becky to keep a sharp eye on her husband and not to let him get too near Skipper for fear that some of it would rub off on him?
I just didn't want Little Duke to give people the wrong idea. He had enough problems with his riding. He didn't need that kind of talk.
And didn't you tell Becky that you were planning to fix Skipper so that Becky wouldn't have to worry about him anymore?
Maybe I did. But that don't mean I rigged that accident or nothing. The girl done it. That's why she ran off that rope that was the evidence.
How did he know that the rope was disappearing?
That's a good question. How did you know about that rope disappearing, Mr. O'Connor?
Well, I don't know. I don't see it nowhere in the court here. I figured the one who done it took the rope.
Mr. O'Connor, didn't you fray the rope on that bronc thinking Skipper was going to be the rider?
No. I didn't give two hoots and Hades about Skipper.
And didn't you get rid of that piece of evidence after arguing with your son in the hospital?
No. You're just making me look bad up here. Look, I went away because I couldn't stand what that little homo was doing to my son. Best thing that ever happened to Duke was for a little Skipper to get his head busted in by some bronc.
You tried to kill Skipper.
Now, just a minute.
You see what your daddy done? You see what kind of man he is?
Mrs. O'Connor, Mr. O'Connor. Now, let's finish with this witness.
Your Honor, I have no further questions.
All right, you may step down. Anything further from the defendant?
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Brush, let me hear your closing argument.
During the course of this trial, we've heard Becky O'Connor accused of having an affair and of causing the accident that nearly crippled her husband. Well, the testimony of her father-in-law has shown these allegations are false. We request a divorce on grounds of physical and mental cruelty and adultery. We ask for 70% of the marital property plus a share in the future earnings of High Stepper Boots.
Mr. Morgan.
Your Honor, I will concede that Becky O'Connor is not responsible for her husband's riding accident. But there are other instances of her physical cruelty that are before this court. And I think we have proven her adulterous relationship with Matt Rudder, and I think we've demonstrated that she attempted to seduce her own father-in-law. We again reiterate our request for this divorce on the grounds of adultery and mental and physical cruelty. We ask for 100% of the High Stepper money, the 2 homes, and the Cadillac. Thank you.
Thank you, counsel.
While Judge Keene reviews the testimony in order to reach a decision in this highly charged case, we have time to take a short break.
Do you have too many bills? Call this Bill. 329-BILL. Heard on the job.
I can't. Can you please stop
that? Call this Bill. 329-BILL. Been in a car wreck or been hit by an 18-wheeler? Call this Bill. 329-BILL. Bill Cunningham, attorney at law. 329-BILL. By an act of Congress and signed by the President of the United States, WCCS Incorporated is a debt relief agency.
You've seen me on television for over 30 years telling you to call 1-800-LAWYERS. In that time, we've received over 1 million phone calls and answered 1 million questions, always absolutely for free. So call 1-800-LAWYERS. A free call, free advice, and we're always there when you need us. If you've been in an accident, any accident, you may be entitled to a large cash award. You may be entitled to nothing. We know which, and we'll tell you right now. Simply call 1-800-LAWYERS. Free legal advice always. 1-800-LAWYERS.
Think about it. You wouldn't take your broken furniture to a lumberjack, and you sure wouldn't take your motorcycle to an auto mechanic. If you're a biker and you've been injured in an accident, don't call just any attorney. Bring your case to me. I'm Russ Brown, the motorcycle attorney who rides. I know how to handle your case. Don't fight the insurance companies with just any lawyer. Call 1-800-FOR-BIKERS and ask for me, Russ Brown.
We'll be back with Judge Keene's decision following these messages.
The most important aspect in everyone's life is their freedom. When someone is accused of something they didn't do, or when a good person makes a bad mistake, they need my most zealous representation.
Joining us now, attorney R.J. Manuelian.
And criminal defense attorney John Manuelian.
Joining us tonight is legal analyst R.J. Manuelian.
I'm a criminal defense attorney, a legal expert, consultant, and commentator who analyzes today's complex legal issues on all news stations across America. My personalized style of legal representation coincides with my firm belief that trusting who you hire is vital to achieving positive results. My cutting-edge technological skills, simplified explanations of law, combined with my creative legal strategies and procedures, gives clients an advantage against the prosecution who has unlimited financial resources behind them. I tip the scale in our favor.
The prosecutor has not proven this case beyond a reasonable doubt. Accusations and suspicions are not enough for you to convict my client, and that is all the prosecution has proven, at best.
Oh, RJ, sir, can we get a statement?
Give us a statement, please. Justice forbids convicting a defendant based on accusations or suspicions. Keeping good people out of jail, that's what I fight for.
Okay,
Turn now to divorce court, where Judge Keene is about to render his decision.
Over the years I have presided here in divorce court, we have delved into many lifestyles and professions and walks of life, all the way from garbage men down to politicians, from sexual surrogates up to astronauts, and back down again to stand-up comics. I've been asked to decide custody issues of dolphins and a monkey and dogs and a brass bed. And now I've been exposed to the world of the rodeo circuit, which I certainly didn't expect to include assertions of rape and homosexuality and attempted murder. You know, when this marriage came out of the chute, so to speak, I think it had a lot going for it. I think it had two people who loved the rodeo and who loved each other. And then the cinch rope broke. And the cinch rope of a marriage is communication. And when that cinch rope breaks, then that marriage has about as much chance for success as a bronco rider riding side saddle. And all of this, I think, was then compounded by Mr. O'Connor, who couldn't get out of the image of his father, who manipulated him just as much as his so-called friend Skipper Williams manipulated him. I don't have to decide the question of Mr. O'Connor's sexual preference, and I'm willing to accept his statement in that regard from the witness stand. Was Mrs. O'Connor raped? I don't have to decide that issue either, other than concluding, as I do, that she did not commit adultery. Mrs. O'Connor, I urge that you take that matter up with the district attorney because I have a feeling that you were, in fact, raped. My evaluation of the 7 witnesses who have testified during the course of this trial is that Mrs. O'Connor has proved her allegations of mental and physical cruelty, and I order the judgment of divorce for her on her complaint on those grounds. The marital estate here has a net value of $180,000, which includes a $20,000 advance from the commercial ad work. I order a division predicated upon the percentages of 60%, 40% in favor of Mrs. O'Connor. Mr. O'Connor, you can't choose your parents, but you can choose your friends, and my advice to you is that you keep both of them away from your cinch ropes. This court stands in recess.
Divorce Court is a dramatization based on cases and issues raised in the family courts of this nation. None of the participants knows the outcome of the case before hearing Judge Keene's decision. The jurisdiction is a combination of laws of all 50 states. Therefore, the laws of your community may differ. The cases are argued by attorneys and presided over by Judge William Keene, who served on the Superior Court of California for 18 years.